Good morning, everybody. I'm a target individual. My name is David Atkins. I was going to read a good Bible verse and read something real quick. A reminder for TIs who are going through this, because I know a lot of us want to go act out in vengeance and stuff, but the best thing to do is just sit back and file your paperwork and try to just do what you can to deal with this and not lash out in violence or meanness towards your enemies. And I'm fixing to merge a video in with Ryan Mitchell again, another update from CIS lawsuit. And he's going to be explaining some stuff on the lawsuit that's filed, how they're able to extract nanotechnology and stuff like that. So before I do that, I'm going to read a Bible verse and I'm just going to read a little devotion. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath, for it is written, vengeance is mine. I will repay, saith the Lord. Perhaps, hold on. It's impossible to go through this life without feeling that someone's wronged you, because you're a human. Your instincts to get back at that person and make it right. But God wants more from you. He desires for you to have a heart filled with grace and to trust Him to enact justice. So let's trust God to enact justice. I'm sorry there's some parts of this interview that got cut out for talking about, so I couldn't put it in there. So anyway, here it is. Ryan Mitchell, CIS, giving you the rundown on the lawsuit. It's a Zoom call recorded last night that I was also a part of. So here it is. Any thoughts or feedback, feel free to comment. Also, like and share if you're very interested in this and want to spread the word. Thank you very much, and God bless all TIs.
Investigate all of our claims and improving all of our allegations beyond reasonable doubt. He's also the one running the lawsuit. For all of you guys that haven't got an opportunity to talk with him, at the end, he gets hurt. At this moment, but everybody gets an opportunity to ask him a question. They are going to fuck with my are you guys still there?
I am here.
Okay. So
okay, I'm here too.
This is Ryan Mitchell, you guys. He is a targeted individual as well. Go ahead, Ryan, please.
Everybody mute mics.
Hello there. Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Michelle. I am a victim and an advocate. Have been for 15 years, so most of which was covert. And if you're familiar with that, that means that obviously the remote neural monitoring that was used, I didn't know about, other than, things like phosphenes and hair loss, tooth decay, bone loss. I did develop a squamous cell sarcoma on my face that had to be removed, and recently had another one right here. The last 3 years, I've been overtly targeted aggressively, and that's when I started CIS with some other professionals. And we are, again, as previously stated, very sympathetic to what's going on, because, we suffer it as well. I'm aggressively targeted. Generally speaking, my RODs that are on the neural network or cluster that I'm in are extremely aggressive, mentally, physically, emotionally, and psychologically. So there isn't much. We've gone through, essentially, we've identified 6 different weapon systems that are generally used upon and used to disable, destroy, brainwash, groom targeted victims. So we started the lawsuits, and really with the class action lawsuit, the main objective there is we are going to break it down into 4 or 5 separate lawsuits, class actions with the same litigants. Obviously, that would be all of us, whoever signs up. And the reason we're going to do that is if we go after individual agencies, we have a much better opportunity to, to essentially make waves and get our point across, which is all we want, like yourself, is generally a reprieve or relief, remedy, and recourse from the infliction of these weapon systems and the heinous, basically the torment they cause on our lives. So, again, we're going to go after agencies like, of course, the FBI, which we did a counter sting on. You can find that on our website at cistech.info, and that's available to all of you, all of our group members, if you would like to use that in individual suits as well. Because there I was able to get the FBI to actually admit that they are aware of the targeting program, as she referred to it, and that what's nice is plausible deniability no longer has any holds any water. So if you haven't seen that Sting video, I was called in to do I had made calls and scheduled an appointment to meet with a couple of their agents, and I ended up miking myself up with a wireless camera and basically turning it into an interrogation, a counter interrogation. So that's interesting. Another agency we're going to go after is the DOJ. That's going to be a separate lawsuit, basically for dereliction of duty, willful neglect, failure to prosecute violent crimes. And this is important because the DOJ itself is the literally the institution that we all lean on when we're looking for equal rights and justice. And it's very simple with targeted victims, which we've never been able to understand, is that we spent all of this money on essentially centralizing data, like with by creating the Department of Homeland Security. We have a centralized database now, but it's interesting that they have millions of complaints of cyber stalking, gang stalking, community stalking being targeted every year, and these people obviously are
not the 20 feet. Sorry,
oh, you're fine. You're fine.
Oh, okay.
You're perfectly fine.
Oh,
okay. So
they're fucking on my computer.
Oh, you're good. Okay. So what's interesting is they have so much data analytically and with these deep convolutional neural networks that somehow they can't seem to focus on us as targeted victims, as we literally are, being tormented and tortured on a daily basis, mentally, physically, and emotionally. Another agency, obviously, the CIA, DARPA, and the DoD. We're also going to focus on the FCC and the CDC as well. So that should basically explain the gist of the class action lawsuit barrage that we want to put out there. We believe it's going to be more effective than just systematically going after, let's say, the U.S. government as a whole, because we can make different arguments, if that makes sense. So we have a better chance of success. So hopefully that brings some peace to you. We've been doing something really exciting recently, because there have alluded in the TI within, basically across the board, targeted individuals have had an issue finding the following things. The chips, basically they've been curious if, they're nanochipped. And further, basically explaining things like micro texture and touch, and that has to do a lot with the human trafficking investigations we recently did. And obviously a lot of, it's unfortunate, but a lot of victims too have been sexually assaulted. I'll admit to the entire group that I had a torturous ROD myself that literally, tried to sodomize me with some of this technology that I'll get into next and choke me with it. So a lot of the interviews I do with are mostly, females. And unfortunately, they feel like they have been and are sexually assaulted physically, even though they may be in a bedroom by themselves. So most people look at that and they're saying, well, wow, there's something wrong with her. So we always wanted to bridge that gap. Like, how is this happening and we finally got there. DARPA had a program called N3. The N3 was a human targeting program that dealt with nanotechnologies. Okay, these nanotechnologies were, they come in a crystalline nanogel format. So we have been able to, which is exciting for all TI victims, and we're going to start releasing a self-administered examination kit, and that'll be on our website that you just sign up for, and basically we mail it to you, the contents. You go through the video and the instructions, and you do a self-exam, and then you're going to send that self-exam with a self-administered or previously administered label and postage, and you're going to send it back to us to be evaluated. What we're going to do is we're going to evaluate the samples, that's skin, blood, and tissue samples, hair as well, saliva, and also mucus. With that, we're going to extract the different forms of nanotechnology that we find. Now, with DARPA, the most widely used aspect is what's called electrostatic. It's powered by electromagnetic energy, which is the same, ionizing radiation and power source that is utilized with remote neural monitoring, because that generally comes from, let's say, an orbital satellite base, and has to do with ionizing positive and negative ions into your brain. So this nanotechnology, I'll just keep it simple. We have been able to extract, identify, contain, and basically sanitize and provide this to victims as actual proof, hard evidence, with a chain of handling certificate that they have been targeted by the US government. In doing so, that really, it's amazing, because that allows us to systematically move away from certain agencies and focus on DARPA itself, and other agencies that are obviously involved. So that's exciting. And any questions, please? Oh,
I have a ton of questions, and I'm probably not going to ask anywhere near all of them.
yes, sir.
I'm glad to hear you mention what you did about being able to pick apart those nanotech samples from our various cells and blood.
Yeah.
I heard that you were talking about getting coverage for the removal of these nanotech. Is this something we can consider to compel these organizations to not only remove this nanotech the way that it was installed remotely, but to repair damage done with it along the way?
So that's, yeah, and that's interesting, because with nanotechnology, it's both good and bad, as you're mentioning. So that's an important part. So it can be made to destroy or obviously repair. So let's talk about DARPA real quick. So that nanotechnology literally covers basically a spectrum of capabilities for them. So communication, obviously. So most people think of, cochlear heterodyning or cochlear paradigms, that kind of deal. So it does handle the cochlear communication. It's used for camouflage or to conceal the actual tech itself, whether it be in or out the body. With the camouflage, it's also used to enhance the holograms or projections that people get. Obviously, that's induced, and that's basically that's frequency modulation. Amplitude modulation into your visual cortex, and then projected through your optical nerves. So this technology will also, I don't know if any of you have experienced this, but I have, and it was is literally the difference between, when you shut your eyes and you see 2D images to basically a 3D anime, image, or that is floating around and right in front of you, and basically gives it depth. Well, that is the micro texture and the micro touch. This technology is distributed to victims, you and me, generally by a low orbit satellite or drone, and it uses what's called a nanoplasma laser. What it does is it creates a ball of plasma by basically being pointed at, let's say, a house. It tears through the air, creates this ball of plasma. The ball of plasma comes on like raindrops. They also call it dew, because literally, I mean, it feels like a droplets of water that come on you. Now, the nanites involved are less than 2 micron in size, so they easily absorb into your skin. Okay, they absorb into your skin, and then they are activated by a second laser, and that's where we get into DNA bioresonance, and then obviously a biocoded directed energy. So it comes at you like a heat seeker, right? It follows the victim around. They use it internally and externally. To answer your question, generally speaking, the way it's used now is for electrodes, right? So the electrodes that are minimally invasive and non-surgical, they'll put it on your head. That can be used also for TMS. It's a form of it's used for PTSD patients to ease post-traumatic stress, and it basically just erases memory by them electrocuting your brain. So this nanotechnology is also used internally in your brain because it passes through the blood-brain barrier. Now, that nanogel literally pairs off different portions of your brain. And what these operators are doing these days, because their ultimate goal is to break your psyche, is they're splitting the hemispheres, your left and right hemisphere, and they're providing 2 teams on each hemisphere. The reason they do that is, one, confusion, control. They can control vitals, motor functions, thought process, logic, judgment, you name it, memory. So they can read, write, memory, the whole 9 yards. But as they get into it with you and the teams get comfortable, one team will be the distractor, like my dominant is my right. The other will be, let's just say, they'll utilize you for whatever they want. And what they're doing these days is they're writing 2 neural signature recordings. So I want to make people aware of this, that one is your true and correct answers. So let's say you're answering with your dominant. The other is they're asking you a nefarious question to get the opposite result. So now they're making 2 recordings that run in tandem, so that it always looks negative as a form of justification to that you're a terrorist, or to keep you on the TDSB, NIS code 3 and code 4 lists. So that's the nefarious use, and obviously the psyops and the community mob stalkers, which we call the Allegiant proxies, all tied into these neural networks, so on and so forth. That's the nefarious use. So yes, sir, they could use that as well because they deliver as well. I'm sure some of you have been drugged with sedatives. I have, and neurotoxins, so on and so forth. They could use it to repair your body. They could use it to fight cancer. They could use it to deliver drugs. They could use it to get rid of ADHD, so on and so forth. To compel them, we have to do it legally. So we are also going after them individually. I just want everyone to know that they will be named individually in our suits, because it makes them responsible for it makes them absolutely responsible for how we've been afflicted, kind of a successorship liability thing. So that'll be done there. But I just want to show you a couple of things. So we've basically been able to prove without a reasonable doubt, and I'm going to put this brief on our website for everyone, and you're welcome to download it, to tear it up, to use it for yourself. We don't request anything. We always appreciate donations, because we're nonprofit, and that's what keeps us going. But I wanted to show you that we have proven that the U.S. government is using the spectrum of warfare upon citizens, and that includes, but is not limited to, chemical, biological, neurological, psychological, and radiological warfare. And I'll explain that. So we'll start with radiological warfare. You're going to see on the website they'll be colored, But these are all of our extractions that we pulled. But for example, this picture here goes to show charged nanoparticles. These charged nanoparticles are brought with DARPA's N3 nano mesh net. It essentially makes these things that are brought in and dropped upon homes that wrap your body. You know, they're the ones that cause the tension, the pressure. You know, someone strangling you. I mean, I've had it choke me. A lot of times, asphyxiation to you name it, aspiration. The chains that bind us. This is the stuff that makes it all physically real, and is the chains, the whip, and the cattle prod that torture U.S. victims on top of the psyops. So we've proven it's basically a dirty bomb that they're dropping upon us, along with a lot of human waste. Now, on a biological standpoint, well, we've actually gone as far, and we identified with another victim, and this is hard to see, but you'll get to see it on the website when I get it up there, is we identified fungal munitions that are being used. So this is a capsule. It's hard to see, but you'll see it on the website. There's a color picture, and right here, it's labeled number 18, and then obviously, you know, more identifying markers. What's that?
Oh, the Band-Aid.
Okay. So yeah, so we identified the fungal. That's done. Then we got into things like the genetically altered microbes. So we also proved, and we have in possession 8 genetically altered microbes, and they do all kinds of nasty things to your body when it comes to microbes. These are all DARPA's genetically altered microbes, and the afflictions that it does cause upon the body, joints, bloodstream, blood clots. I mean, you name it. So you're going to see all of these pictures in color, and they're there for you. And again, our primary, are going to start eventually doing with the right funding, is we have
Reading equipment and or work with a university to perhaps help us go through this, because some of what I know is picked up in my head would be pretty damning to a lot of these people.
You know, I understand, sir, and that's exactly what our 2 new patents are going to do. But to explain, that technology exists right now upon you, and actually is used by the ISA and the RODs on the neural network for which you are housed. So that is what we often call that synthetic telepathy, or, you know, the thought to text or thought to speech. So let's separate 2 things, right? So V2K is generally, let's say that I'm mumbling or talking. It's listening to me acoustically, and granted, it's being processed in that format. Now, if I were just to think without mumbling and say, if she asks what color is that car, and I think to myself red, and I don't even mumble, that technology is RNN. Okay, that's like MK technology, RIRB, that's built into the remote neural monitoring, so that they know exactly what you're thinking right as you do. So they see it on the screen, they can hear it, they can manipulate it, they can type it, they can send it. So that's the technology you're talking about. But
not necessarily, no, because I overhear people who are believing that I'm doing things in my thoughts that I know I'm not doing, and I have specific experiences that I don't want to go into until a later conversation. But I'll say this: my involvement has been a strange one, and we developed some things that are producing fake thoughts from our heads. I've experienced this unfold.
Oh, absolutely. So fake thoughts
as a quantum thought faking algorithm.
Well, it's not just an algorithm. It's actually, as well, it's your ROD. The ROD that's assigned to you and the algorithm, okay? What they build in your profile, that GUI interface that they're looking at, is a profile of emotional triggers, all right? Mm-hmm. Now, the 2 forms that we deal with, right, are the overt that we talked about and the covert. Covert is all subliminal and subconscious. It's the worst and most heinous form of, remote neural monitoring. Yes, exactly, because the individual and victim thinks that the decision-making and thought process is their own. it is the most destructive, and what we need to absolutely look out for is subliminal and subconscious marketing of that form of remote neural monitoring is so destructive. Exactly.
Ryan, I'd like to schedule a conversation with you sometime in your free time when you have some time. Sometime.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just go to cistech.info, and I'm there. We'll schedule something and go from there, sir.
Thank you.
Pleasure. If I could just finish on that subconscious note, though, and I'll just use a personal experience. My significant other was blank slated, groomed, and literally turned against me. One of the most skeptical debacles I dealt with when I first came on was I heard so many victims talking about how their family and friends were systematically turned against them. And I wanted to know how they were doing that. In fact, I was skeptical it was even happening. So I found out how it was happening, and it's exactly the subconscious and the subliminal remote neural monitoring that they add into your tree of, within your mini network. And they get all the negative stuff, anything that, let's say, you had a conversation with your mother, she's in a bad mood, they make her agitated, she doesn't know why. She doesn't agree with anything, she doesn't connect with you. It happened with me and my significant other where, literally, yeah, and it's so heinous. So just watch out for that. I'll tell you, it broke my heart because, my best friend I watched disappear in front of me. I couldn't connect with her. It was like a totally different person, and she had been blank slated with the TMS so dramatically, so many times. But she knew information, like the ROD would say something nefarious to me, like, "Oh, I'm gonna have her lose her keys," or that's just a simple petty example. And then, sure enough, 5 minutes later, she can't find him, or this and that were going to happen. The dog was going to disappear, and the dog disappeared. You could tell that she was being coached and groomed, period. So watch out for that. That's something we need to combat. But one of the fundraising objectives is I have contacts with two tech companies. One deals with the blind, like a blind at birth and then blind after. So that technology, like in audit, helmets for the Air Force and Navy, that same BCI, brain computer interface, HMI, setup, they're going to help us with. And that's for the visual induction of that visual stimuli. And then secondly is the audio. Got a great audio lady we're essentially using the equivalent of wireless IR hearing aids, which then you get that's just like the original, cochlear Petrodyne, test minus the camera. So, but you're getting the audible comm system. We're going to put this together so that we can finally diagnose victims and separate them from an old misnomer, that misdiagnosis of, biological schizophrenia, for example, or dissociative disorder or MPD. So that's exciting for us. And if you can, we would be grateful if you help us raise money to do that. Because we have this technology, we know that it works. We just need to, obviously make more of them, get them out there, and then have some financial backing so that we can go into the medical community and start teaching them about infra and ultrasound weapons, right? So they weren't taught this in med school. So if you go to your doctor or you go to a psychiatrist, they label you as schizophrenic if you said I was, seeing images and, again, I was hearing voices. Now, we as TI victims know that there's a technology and weapon system that does that. So our objective there is to do a mass information campaign and bring them online, and then obviously get them the medical equipment for diagnostics or diagnosis, so that we can provide another, tool to say, hey, maybe this doesn't seem to be biologic because we have the frequencies and the data transfers. but it looks to be more technically induced, so we can check off biologic and heretic. So we're excited about that, definitely. Next, anyone?
So if I understand this right, so the lawsuit's going to take over. It's going to be 5 different ones. Now, are they going to cover the basis of all this nanotechnology too? Are we going after any of the medical facilities and the doctors and stuff for their participation in this program?
Yeah.
Okay, so right off the bat, the reason that we're going after the federal government is because the federal government's primary job is to do what? It's to protect and serve us, the citizens, right? When they fail to do that, they have derelicted their duty. Hence, that's negligent. The negligence in a civil litigation is liable for damages. Okay, the reason that we're going after the liability first is the standard of proof. So we don't need proof beyond a reasonable doubt. All we need is preponderance of the evidence. This is exciting for us because once we start winning these civil suits, then it opens up criminal liability and committees. So this is like the first step. And the reason that we're adding, the different agencies instead of just a blanket approach is it's basically like having more bullets in your clip than, a single shot in the dark. Does that make sense? And yes, we're going to use the nanotechnology is absolute proof for every single victim that here, this came out of my body. It was part of my hair sample or your saliva or whatever. And this is mine. And we're going to identify it for you as being, let's say, for example, let's say it was a tubular or one of the nanoparticles. We're going to break it down for you because these are all DARPAs. And as long as we get one, that's all we need. So
Yeah.
for you. And that's great because every victim that's part of the lawsuit is going to have the same thing. And
on my brain scans, you could see, sorry, Michael, one more thing. On my brain scans, you could see the chips directly behind both ears.
Okay.
On both of them.
So it would be cool to retrieve those. But I got to be honest, generally speaking, that's older technology that was used in the 70s and 80s, where they would shoot them like right behind the ears. And, even the newer ones, they're biodegradable and they don't need them anymore because, they have the nanites, which essentially, nanotechnology is amazing. It essentially manipulates matter. It creates these forms. It forms these structures and these little communities to accomplish different tasks, So they don't even need to. This has been the main issue is that people can't find these things because you need a microscope to see them, So we're able now to get those. And I know they're in you because of the lenses. Okay. So I'll talk to you about that specifically, the lenses in your eyes, because that's the same nanogel plasma that we're talking about. That's DARPA right there in 3.
The ones, I got 3 different ones in my eyes, a clear one, a light brown, and a dark brown.
Yeah. And you can see this technology. If you go onto YouTube right now, I put up 3 different videos. And I think I'm the only one that's done this yet around the country and maybe the world, that I literally capture while being attacked some of the nanomesh that's unleashed upon me. And you're going to see, I put it in a plastic bag, and then I light up the backside and I induce images into it. And you can see in the plastic bag that it's just a plastic bag, but then you can actually see the images and people and faces. And please go to YouTube and watch that.
Online. That's fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah, have you seen it? Yeah.
Where is it?
You can go to YouTube or it's on our website at cistech.info. And it's probably one of the most incredible technologies I've got to play with.
Ryan, I got a question about your vehicles. Do you think that they're using the EMF ionized radiation through the electrical system, or are they implanting these particles in your, like injecting them to receive signals in your seats and I'm sure it's both because
No, well,
when I
here's the scary part. I'll answer your question. You are shedding it, and then it attaches to everything from your bed sheets to your carpet to everything you touch. This is how scary this stuff is. So we made a major complaint to the DNI last week with this brief and said, look, they're literally unleashing biological warfare, neurological, psychological, and chemical warfare on neighborhoods. So when they target an individual with this stuff and they start propagating it, it starts coming out of their skin. They breathe. It's literally polymers or plastics, right? I mean, it's to answer your question, they don't have to inject it because when the original it's first administered.
so what you're saying is, so after a while it comes out of our skin, but all they have to
Yes,
do is hit us with EMF to create more in our body.
and there are magnetic fields everywhere. In fact,
Right.
your alternator creates a massive. They're everywhere. So this is the problem with it. And then
messages. Have you been getting my messages?
Sure, I have to apologize that recently I've gone through a little bit of a cancer treatment, so that's what I've been focused on. So I've been kind of they hit me really hard over the last few years. So I developed another squamous cell sarcoma, and I'm sorry I've just gone through that, but that's why I look so skinny, and I had to go through some treatment, and I'm finally out of it. So excited to get back to work and get back on the ball. So I apologize, but please reach out to me again.
I've been collecting documentation from a lot of targeted individuals about the harassment that's been going on, and I want to send it to you, but I haven't been able to get a response from you in about 3 months.
Yes, sir. So if you can see, I went through, I've lost a lot of weight, about 25 pounds. And again, I had to go through some treatments, radiologic treatments. So that's what I've been focused on, is not only the nanotechnology that we're identifying, but I apologize. I just wish I could clone myself and be in two places at one time, like a particle can be, but I'm not astral projecting in this case, just have to go to, I apologize. I'll just leave it there. I'll get back with you, sir, and we'll get your info and get something scheduled to talk about and see what you want to do with it.
Yeah, I have probably about 15 to 25 targets that want to give you their documentation and their interviews. They have people that have actual evidence that the targeting is happening. But when I try to send you things, I haven't been able to get a response, and I know you're going through it, but I need to be able to get some sort of communication back from you, because I'm trying to raise money for the lawsuit. But if I don't have anybody to talk to, I don't really know what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
No problem. So you can keep, for example, that's what's nice about the new nano collection that we're going to be doing, is we're going to make sure everyone has uniform evidence, and that's great. So we'll talk, but get my phone number and just text me, and I'll get back to you. Like I said, I'm back now, back to work. But as I just said plainly, it's sometimes life happens and we have to, take care of ourselves before we take care of others. So
Prayers
sorry
for you.
about that. We'll make it happen. I promise. Thank you, Anthony. Yes, ma'am.
Courtney, did you want to say something?
Oh no! Oh, I didn't know that I hit something. I'm sorry. No, I said prayers for him. I mean, I figure you are going through a lot. God, I'm so sorry. Like I didn't know that you were going through that. So I hope everything's okay with your health. And yeah, actually, I do have a question. Are there
Okay.
are there some tests that you suggest, like certain tests that you would like for us to get that we can do on our own? Like specific testing, like metal tests, anything that you might suggest to do. I know x-rays, I didn't know if you had any certain ones that we should go out and try to get done.
Well, I gotta be honest, is I hate selling people things that they don't need, and I hate buying stuff. What irks me a lot is the folks that are taking advantage of TIs and selling all this crazy stuff that doesn't work. Testing, that's why we're trying to do this self-administered, nano exam. Is we know that that's tangible, hard evidence that can be used and is undeniable across the board. When you talk about things like metal testing, that's important to your personal health for sure, because if you're exposed to nanotech, especially it being electrostatic, it's literally like a magnet. So it's attracting all this debris from the environment around you, metals. Women are generally better based on menstruation cycles at, once a month, extruding a lot of that excess, but men were terrible at it. So we can definitely get heavy metal poisoning very quickly. But a great test to get if you can, especially with the technology and where it's going, based on cost, is for nanotoxicity. Nanotoxicity, and I suffered from it too, when I started my treatments.
Yeah.
Terrible. But there are some tests. I'd say that's probably the best test that you can get out there. And then for physical proof, obviously we're going to provide those self-administered exams for folks. And I know it's going to be a hit. I'm excited that people will finally have what they need to go talk to a lawyer and say, hey, no, Mr. Attorney, this is proof. I want you to do this. Here's the game plan. Go sue them, So, and then, that's where I want to empower people. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Anybody else has any questions?
I can't find to raise the hand. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, this is Chris from Idaho, and I'm also involved with your lawsuit. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for all that you're doing. And I'm just going to be in a position here in a few more days where I can start donating. And I'm just so impressed with your website and everything. You explain everything so nicely. And I just feel like we all have to band together, and we have to be power in numbers, because we have got to take this down, and we are fighters. So I just hope everybody can get really united, and we can all do everything that we can.
Absolutely.
So thank you to you, and Maria, also thank you for all of your hard work, because you've sure helped me, because I'm a ding dong sometimes. But anyway, I'll be so proud to support in a few more days.
Oh, so grateful for you. And I love the fact you used strength in numbers, because that's why we're going to take this down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Like I said, I've been getting shadow banned a lot, and a lot of the other TIs. So as long as we got people help sharing this across, I know we're going to hit perps, okay? I know we're going to run across a lot of perps, but if we got to get through 200 of them just to get to the real TIs, that's my ultimate goal. So when we're getting shadow banned, if y'all don't mind, please help in sharing the information as well. I know I've shared a lot of lawsuits in the last couple of months or a year or whatever, but the one that they actually really, really shadow banned me on is CIS. I don't know why. I don't know how come, because I share a lot of his information.
You know why?
Yeah, you should. They literally take down my videos, and they abrogate and change my photographs. I hate it when they do that, and I banter with them all the time, but we have some investigations that are pretty hot and controversial, so that's why. I think that's why they hit me so hard too.
So if I can get, ask for you guys to actually try to help share some of this information as well. There is still a lot of them out there, and the more and have really substantial hard evidence. If y'all could help, and then again with the support, because a lot of them are still under so much emotional attack that it's hard for them to climb out. I mean, I still get phone calls from ladies and men that are nearly in tears as well. So
yeah. That's the most frustrating part is inability to protect and help people. I'm naturally a protector. I hate bullies. I hate bullies. So, when people call me and they're frightened and they can't stop the electrocution or the noise or, the tormenting or the sexual assaults, when they lay down, it drives me up the wall. So I'm hopeful, and especially considering it's so easy that all you have to do to fix it for them is take their name off of the ISA, just takes them off the database, and it all goes away like that.
I got a question. Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Okay, so like as far as trying to protect yourself, I see you got in the background, I can see you have a whatever what is that called to
A jammer?
to block the signals, a jammer, yes. Has
Okay.
that worked well for you?
Yes and no. Some people say it does. Okay.
Yeah.
And it does to a degree, but you don't need to go spend $600 for a jammer. That just covers the spectrum.
Okay.
And that's not, it doesn't produce, EMF in that case. I mean, it will produce some, but
Right.
it's worth trying for you. That's up to you.
Yeah.
I've also found, to be honest, like noise canceling headphones, like a good set of noise canceling headphones is
Okay.
great to have. If you think about that, if like ELF is being used, noise canceling headphones, great. Water shielding, like people obviously find relief, taking showers or taking a swim. But
That's the
you know,
salt.
yeah, that's
Okay,
actually
for
very
sure.
true, very true. So, but there's no silver bullet, unfortunately, especially with the numerous signal types and symptom types that are used, and the fact that even like ELF, for example, or scalar waves travel at faster than the speed of light, up to 20,000 kilometers, and penetrate water and bunkers and mountains. I mean, kind of hard to stop that stuff, So
You ain't lying.
What about
yeah,
styrofoam installation over your windows? I mean, that stops infrared and everything. They can't determine where you're at in the house. One
yeah,
one inch
I can
styrofoam installation.
honestly, if it works for you, I would say okay. I mean, we've looked into insulated Faraday cages, and Faraday cages. Even then, you get some relief, but you're still not getting, it's not, again, a silver bullet. Further, if you think about amplitude, I think amplitude is important to focus on, because if you get into the country or away from, let's say, cell phone towers, especially, then things loosen up and lighten up. Generally, I find people that are, hiking and stuff, it's not as intense for them, especially now that they're moving towards the digital format. So the new digital phones, now that they're using the emotional and mental state, like the Vodafone that the UK used, they're using that format now. So, I mean, I guess there's pros and cons. You're not going to get burned up as much as you would with the EMF, but you're still going to get 20 times the radiation of your microwave oven. So consider that,
Okay, I haven't spoken. My name's Javon.
Hello, sir.
I've figured out a way to have absolutely no pain whatsoever, and they hit me extremely hard 24/7. In fact, to test it out, I asked them to hit me harder. And
Okay.
God
like
bless you. God bless
I do. I literally beg. I ask because I like to I test things out 24/7, and it doesn't hurt. It doesn't get through. I created the serums, and then I created the armor. So we have a silver.
Can I say, yes, sir. What would you say is the best for you? The best shielding for you?
Okay, so I discovered how to protect my spine.
Okay.
So this is copper and neodymium magnets in this electrical tape. So it protects the charge to where they can hit me all day with electricity, but it's not going anywhere. And even this headband generates electricity but I've grounded the headband with the same magnets. So, because I like to wear headbands, and you're not going to stop me from wearing headbands. And
Yeah, I
then
was interested in looking into that kinetic clothing. Go ahead. What's that?
this is a polyester T-shirt. I grounded that as well through, like, I purposely wear things that they can use to generate as much electricity as possible. I ask them to hit me as hard as possible. I want them to. I want them to do as much damage to my skin so that I could prove that the serums I created work. So we have a silver bullet. We have it. We have I got the armbands. It's also copper electrical tape so it doesn't damage the skin. It stops everything.
Yes,
So
sir.
we have a silver bullet. I wouldn't say that we don't. We have it. Like,
Well, good for you. That's awesome. No, I'm always interested in learning about how people get by and
I
what they
believe in
find to be effective.
copper too. Copper works.
Copper works. I
wear.
I believe in
copper
just
fit.
not doing it to U.S. citizens, and if they want to shoot out scalar waves, how about just longitudinal scalar waves at, let's say, 7.83, which is perfect, harmonious, so everyone feels happy and feels good, kind of tingly and energetic. If we could do that, from the Michigan site, the Army, if they could just do that all day and spray it all across the country, that would be better than the transverse waves that break up your DNA.
Yeah, I'm sick and tired of feeling like I have lupus.
All right, David wants to talk. You guys let him speak if you don't mind.
Yeah, we use we actually been using this.
Hey, Mr. David, nice to see you.
Hey, I've been messaging you for like a year, man. Sorry you're going through that cancer stuff, man.
No, that's okay. And you look good, sir.
I've
got
been
the background going.
This stuff, Aprotropic Smart Drops. It's lion's mane mushroom, reishi mushroom, shiitake mushroom, myotite mushroom, and this stuff. And matter of fact, I've seen a post today that this helps detoxify you from radiation. Ever since I've been using this stuff, me and Holly both have been using this stuff. It's really, really lessened the shocks and the vibrations tremendously. And I seen something on lion's mane where they give it to lion's mane and turkey tail mushroom. They give it to chemo patients. And matter of fact, it cured back before medicine was available. It cured colon cancer, lung cancer, and breast cancer back in the days. So this mushroom supplements are really, really good. And I watched a study where lion's mane and turkey tail actually helps chemo patients recover from chemotherapy. And we also use these things. It's like copper plates, and they're cones. And you could put them like right here in the couch if you're getting hit in the back of, because copper absorbs radiation. It's been helping us some.
No, that's awesome.
I mean, we still get hit, but it still helps us.
And the way you said it was almost like an advertiser, and I loved it. That was great. That's good. That's good. So good to see you, sir. Good to see you.
Anybody else has any questions? Any concerns? It might be a while before Ryan gets an opportunity to join us again.
No.
I have a question.
I promise I'll make this more. I'm going to become more attendant.
All right.
These meetings. I promise.
We know you're busy. I know you're busy. So I mean.
Oh, I'm about to break out of something. So we're. Hopefully they're getting.
I was letting them know earlier, just about. Sorry, Chris. Let me say this real quick.
Yeah.
I was letting them know earlier. I just about text you every single day.
And I don't mind your texts. I mean, granted, I'm sorry I don't respond to everyone, but you are, they're comforting.
Right.
I'm glad. Thank you for saying.
I know you read them because they show up in your videos, is what I was trying to explain to him. I was like, he doesn't always respond to me unless I'm like really, really adamant. But most of the time, it's just sharing information that I found that I thought was important, or that you might have not had, or you might have. I didn't know, but I mean, so a lot of them were wondering how I was always having direct contact. I literally send them a message almost just about every day. Go ahead, Chris.
I mean, and I thank you.
Excuse me. I was just wondering how who's keeping track of the money, and how does it show? I mean, is there going to be a ledger, or do
Yeah.
people get to see where the money's going, or?
No, it's a great question. And in fact, this would be the first attempt for us to actually do like a community kind of fundraising thing. So that was an interesting question, but we have, I think I would either going to ask our doctor or one of them to do the accounting. And yes, absolutely transparent. In fact, I want to post it online. Every dollar that we spend, where it goes, everything from salaries to, equipment purchase, what we spent on it. I think that's
Yeah.
extremely important. So, I mean, I don't know. Are you an accountant? Maybe you could handle the money. I mean, that's why I was saying before, I don't want to be a money manager. I would rather work and be out there and get stuff done.
I mean, I'm not the best, but I damn sure could do the job if nobody would want to.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
I
let's
mean,
keep that in mind. Yeah, for sure.
no,
For sure.
yeah. If you guys need somebody, but I was mostly just asking. And actually, I'm pretty good at keeping track of stuff, so just putting that out there too. But
I like it.
yeah, I just think I think it's important, because I think the more that the people see what's happening in everybody, it keeps the excitement going, and you're more involved in the whole situation, so you can see what's happening, you know. So I think it's a great thing that everybody can see, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
Yeah.
we'll keep you in mind there. That's great. That's
Yeah.
a great question, but